Okay, what would an economic restart look like, and would it play out? How would it play out? World War III for power, or U.S. peacefully keeps the ball? Oh man. So what would a economic restart look like? The end days. I mean, actually, I think I have something for that.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
I mean, because I've ha- I've had so many friends come out as conspiracy theorists that I had no idea were conspiracy theorists, talking about the end of the world, the new world order, you know, all those tinfoil hat theories. And I mean, okay, going through it in my perspective, how does the economic restart look like? The dollar crashes. Well, okay, so we have what could happen and what I think would be ideal, right? So maybe we start with what I think would be ideal. I think ideal is the dollar crashes, other currencies as well. We go through a global recession, a reset, things that were overpriced get repriced at a more reasonable price, right? So no more Tesla at what, uh, almost $1,000. No more no more $1 trillion companies. Everything gets reset, kind of like with crypto as well. Kind of goes into that. So basically, things get reset. We all realize that the fiat currency experiment is over, and we all lose faith in it. And either new currencies get back onto the gold standard, ideally, right? They get back onto the gold standard, and we all just kind of go through this short-term period of pain where there's high unemployment. Unfortunately, purchasing power will decrease, so possibly stagflation, right? But it's a reset that's needed, kind of like going through a detox, or going on a diet. Something that's needed to recalibrate, right? Like imagine you are a drug junkie, you have to go to rehab, right? So financially speaking, the world's currencies and central banks are junkies, and they have to go through to rehab, and unfortunately, they have to take their populace, the people with them, into rehab, and rehab might take a while. I mean, if they've been junkies for almost 100 years, it won't just drop like that. It's going to take some time. It might take, who knows, 5 years, maybe even 10 years. I mean, definitely not the popular opinion. That's why politicians keep on selling people a bill of goods, right? Pun intended, right? They lie to them and tell them whatever they need to get reelected in the short term, not caring about what's going to happen in the long term. So a global reset means we go through tough times, but we come out better in the end. So and it means prices getting reset, recalibrated. Now, in terms of how crypto falls into that, or I mean, I think when the dust settles, when the dust and smoke clears, it's going to be musical chairs. Countries that were powerful might not be powerful anymore, and countries or their power might have changed. And lots of people are saying that America's biggest rival isn't Russia; it's China, because I think could be really China could come out and really be the new the new alpha, right? And I know all the conspiracy theorists are kind of predicting that, and they believe that no way will America or the EU allow China, a communist country, to be the new alpha. So that's where people are getting all the possible World War III. I mean, I hope there isn't a World War III, right? But not from a conspiracy theory perspective, but from a probability perspective. I mean, we know we've been through World War One, we've been through World War Two, right? So when somebody says World War, it's not like they're a tinfoil hat person, but we know it's happened before in the past, and we had two of them in the 20th, right, in 1900s. I mean, right, from what, like 19, was it 1913? right? But anyway, we had two in 50 years, right? And we've gone 70 years without really a world war, which is great. But we know that humans will be humans, right? And humans, when they don't get along, they fight, they have war. So, I mean, I hope there's a World War III, right? But, I mean, let's think about it. Is that even possible now? Because nowadays we have nuclear weapons. So if we truly have a war, it will not look good, right? So in America, like America didn't go to war with Russia. We just had a Cold War with Russia, right? It was just an information war, right? Basically spying, espionage. So now that China and America were kind of rivals, I mean, we had the trade war and all that stuff. So the question is, would it just be a Cold War as well? Right? I think maybe a Cold War, but also maybe a currency war, right? Because China has been trying to get off of being attached to the U.S. dollar, right? They don't want to depend on the American dollar so much. So I think maybe it's a currency war. Maybe China says, you know what, the dollar is inflating. We don't want to be a part of this sinking ship. We're getting off because China does have a lot of. I think China has the most American dollars outside the Federal Reserve Bank, because when they're exporting their products to America, they get paid in US dollars, which they then keep in their reserves. So if they just said, you know what, we don't want to hold money in the American dollar, we're going to hold it in our own currency or in gold or in a gold-backed currency or whatever, or Bitcoin, who knows? I mean, that's when the sinking ship starts, and I think I think there would be some kind of conflict, but I don't think it would be like a physical conflict, like dropping a nuke on each other. Because I think both countries, or all countries in general, realized after what happened in Pearl Harbor and in Japan, right, with the atomic bomb, that if somebody drops the bomb, it's going to affect the whole world, right? Because there'll be just kind of like the butterfly effect. If you drop a nuclear bomb on somebody, there's radiation, there's tsunamis, earthquakes. It's gonna mess up the economies, and everything is connected. We're now a true global economy. So I don't think. I mean, I hope countries won't be that stupid to start a World War III. But with that being said, we do know that the wars all the time. I mean, we had America's been at war in the Middle East, right, and even other countries. So if two countries really hate each other, maybe it's possible. But I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, at least not in the next 10 years. But I could be wrong. I mean, I don't really follow geopolitics like that. I think things would be peaceful. If anything, I think I think the U.S. can decline as a global power, right? Especially if the dollar crashes, right? But back to your question, because I've been kind of talking in circles. But it is a question that's hard to not talk in circles, okay? Because it's all pure speculation, right? So what would an economic restart look like? I think I've answered that part, right? The dollar crashing, America going into a 5 or 10 year recovery, maybe even longer. I don't know, right? I'm no economist, but I think that that's what has to happen. Prices have to reset, recalibrate. Other countries would probably get hit a lot, right? Especially countries that have their currencies pegged to the U.S. dollar or tied to the U.S. dollar in some fashion, right? So most currencies would then have to abandon the U.S. dollar, go onto the gold standard, or ideally, I think, or some other currency becomes the reserve currency, right? Imagine if the Chinese currency becomes the reserve currency. Then, I mean, I think America would definitely have some kind of conflict with China, because they have polarizing philosophies, right? One has capitalism, or kind of crony capitalism, then the other and the democracy, and the other has, you know, their communist ways, right? So even though they do have some kind of form of capitalism now, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of that. I mean, that's definitely a hot topic. But let me know what you guys think. Let me check the comment.